posted by you/that caterpillar 400. My 28F fiancé Alex, 28M, has had a BFF, Danny, 28F, since they were 4. She's not like the usual Reddit BFF. She's a lovely, sweet person who has never crossed boundaries with Alex or their 2 other friends, Marcus and Daniel. The 4 are very close. Danny is gay and always has been. She is very much a woman but prefers to dress in jeans and t-shirts rather than in any feminine clothing. She is lean, tall, has short hair, and is just one of the boys in many ways. This weekend was Alex's bachelor party. All 4, plus 2 other friends of Alex, went along. It was in a coastal town that's well known for hosting bachelor and bachelorette parties, but there are no adult clubs or anything like that. They stayed in an Airbnb and had scuba diving and kayaking planned. The first night went okay, dinner at a restaurant, a nightclub, and then back home. The issue arose last night. After the nightclub, they headed back to the house. Marcus and Daniel, who are both single, brought back 2 girls from the nightclub and got busy in their bedrooms. The rest were drinking in the living room, but things got a bit loud, and the 2 friends started complaining that they didn't get to go to an adult club and never got to see some hot bodies. They were blaming their wives and calling them names. Danny told them to quiet down as it was ruining the mood, but they both thought it would be funny if they saw Danny all exposed to make up for it. The thing is, Alex joined in, and they forcibly took off her clothes. She was screaming loudly, and Marcus and Daniel came running, rescued Danny, and put her in a bedroom with the girls. They then got into a fight with the 3 men. Daniel doesn't drink due to a chronic medical condition and the medication he's on. So, they packed up and took Danny and the 2 girls, leaving the other 3 behind. Danny was hysterical, and Marcus wanted her to go to the police, but she refused. She was too afraid to go home, so they ended up dropping the girls off and taking Danny to her parents' house, which was an hour away. Marcus was at my door at 7 a.m. this morning and told me what happened. He said that if he ever sees Alex again, he's afraid of how things could go. He also told me that if he can convince Danny to press charges, he will. Then he left. Alex returned around 3 this afternoon. He was acting normally until I told him Marcus had visited. He became very nervous and tried to downplay what happened as a joke that got out of hand. I'm devastated. I listened to him, but he knew I wasn't accepting his explanation. I told him Danny might be going to the police, and he became very panicked and pale. He said she had blocked him, and he wanted to go talk to her. I told him she wasn't at her place because she was too afraid he or his buddies would show up there. I asked him to leave, and though he didn't want to go, I insisted. He was crying, saying it was a prank that got out of hand. I only heard him out as a courtesy to our 2-year relationship, but I'm done. I don't know this man anymore. I'm unsure if I should reach out to Danny or just do nothing. Marcus and I have been in constant contact, and he agrees that I have no option but to end things. I don't even know where to start with canceling everything, as the wedding is in 5 weeks, but that feels trivial compared to what Danny is going through right now. Marcus is convinced that Danny will go to the police after talking to her parents, so I think Alex is in serious trouble. I can't support him in this. Maybe I'm wrong, and it's because he was drunk or on something else, but this was his friend since age 4, and he did this to her. I haven't blocked Alex, but I haven't replied to or picked up any of his calls. Update 1 day later. It's been a terrible day. I can't reach out to my friends yet because I feel ashamed. I did tell my parents and my brother, and they have been wonderful. My brother brought his friend with him when he came to stay, and today, both of them packed up every bit of my ex's stuff and took it to his parents' house. My ex was there and just asked if that meant I was finished with him, and my brother said yes, asking if he really expected any other reaction. His father intervened and told my ex not to say anything more. He also told my brother to have me contact him about canceling the wedding. I'm not contacting his father, ever. My parents are handling the wedding cancellations, and my father got in touch with my cousin, who is a lawyer, to help and advise me as needed. I have to disentangle myself from my ex regarding leases, bank accounts, savings, and other financial matters, though my brother made sure I transferred all of my money from the joint accounts, savings and daily accounts, into my own account. It's a mess. I tried calling Danny, but she isn't ready to speak to anyone, so I just texted her to let her know that I'm here for her and that I've broken up with Alex. She hasn't replied, and I don't expect her to. She's apparently in a really bad way. Daniel spent 3 hours with me today. There's a lot going on, but I'm afraid to say too much for fear of damaging any potential court case. I will say that there are 2 videos of the incident, one taken by Jeb, one of the 2 friends. Much of it is chaotic, but the last part is apparently clear and telling. The owners of the rental house have also gotten involved, and there's footage, but I can't say more. When Marcus left me, he went to both of those guys' wives and told them what happened. Jeb's wife has been very helpful, and has split from him. The other guy's wife has also left him. Things are going the way most of you would want them to, that's all I'll say. And, to add, it was worse than what Marcus originally shared. Daniel told me that before Danny found her style, she had long hair, dressed femininely, and was stunningly beautiful. All three of them were in love with her as teens. Apparently, Alex took her rejection very personally and, according to Daniel, was angry and bitter for a couple of years, though he hid it from her. They thought he had gotten over it, but Daniel now feels that this might have been about revenge. It's scary if this is true. I've been receiving hundreds of texts from Alex. He told me his father advised him to stop texting me, but he says he can't. I haven't replied or blocked him based on advice. This is really hard, and I don't know how all of this is going to end up. Second update 3 days later. I got a call from Danny. Daniel has been ever present, and I'm guessing it was because he knew she was going to call. There's a lot more to the story. The first night was normal, as I said, but on Saturday, Alex, Jeb, and their friend decided not to go scuba diving with Danny, Daniel, and Marcus. Danny was feeling very hungover and gave up after an hour, heading back to the Airbnb. She walked into the living room to find all three guys engaging in intimate acts with two women. Jeb shouted at her to get out, as this was costing them a fortune. The women were paid professionals. She left and went back to the boat, only telling Marcus what she had seen. When they all returned later, Alex told her not to tell me, saying it was just his last bit of freedom. She told him she was disgusted and reminded him that he wasn't free. She also told him she needed to think about what to do. Marcus convinced her to stay another night, as he and Daniel had met the two girls the night before and were planning to see them again. If Danny wanted to leave, Daniel would have to take her since he was her ride, and there wasn't any public transport in the small town. So Alex cheated, as did the other two. Marcus told their wives that morning, but not me. He planned to do it in stages because he knew I was already in shock. The actual assault went further than what Marcus had initially told me. While Alex hadn't physically assaulted her beyond pulling off her clothes, unlike the other two, he stood by and watched, doing nothing to help her. Danny mentioned that she thought Alex had taken some mushrooms earlier, but she wasn't sure. Marcus and Daniel did rescue her, but by then, things had already escalated. She went to the police as soon as she got to her parents'. The Airbnb owners had also gone independently when they saw the footage. All three men are now facing the consequences of their actions. Danny told me she was sorry she didn't tell me immediately, as she had wanted to, but she's still very distraught. I didn't want to make things worse for her. I don't think I'm needed for any legal proceedings, so I finally blocked Alex and his parents. The wedding is cancelled, and I'm just beginning to disentangle myself from Alex financially, including bank accounts and other matters. Here's my issue. I'm feeling very angry towards Marcus. It feels like he didn't really care about me. He stopped Danny from telling me so he could continue to shack up with the girl he met. He apparently feels guilty because if they had left, Danny wouldn't have been attacked. He didn't give me the courtesy of telling me that Alex cheated that morning, like he did with the other two wives. It's not like he was sparing my feelings because my ex assaulting another woman was a pretty damn hard thing to hear. He also didn't tell me the full extent of the attack. Danny is still unsure if Alex wasn't just waiting his turn or if all he was going to do was watch. I should have been told that immediately, and not by Danny, because that conversation was incredibly difficult for her. Daniel didn't know about the paid professionals at all and didn't realize Marcus hadn't shared the full story of what they saw when they burst in. Daniel has been my rock. I need some perspective here. Is it okay to be angry at Marcus? Is this misplaced anger? I'm definitely angry at Alex, and that's all I feel towards him. Can anyone give me a different perspective that I'm missing? Marcus and I had been in constant contact, mostly messages, texts, and occasional calls, since he's already back at work. He actually visited last night, but I didn't open the door for him. Daniel keeps saying that whatever I feel right now is okay, but I think he's just placating me. I don't know who to trust anymore. I don't have to have any more contact with Alex, and I think the case will move along without me. I'm considering telling Daniel that I need a break from him, Marcus, and that whole group of friends. Danny and I have agreed to stay in touch, but I don't see us being very close. My best friend, whom I finally confided in, thinks I should step away from them all now for good and focus on moving forward. My parents agree and believe it's necessary for my healing. My brother, on the other hand, thinks Daniel has been nothing but great and that I shouldn't cut him off. But they all seem to come as a package deal, without Alex now, obviously, so it feels like it's probably all or nothing. What should I do? I don't want to be ungrateful, but a clean break feels right. Third update 11 days later. I've been putting off writing this update, but I'm back because I need even more advice and an outside perspective. The comments have been pretty helpful so far, thank you. It's long, but I'll do my best to shorten it. First of all, Danny and I have bonded. She and I talk every day and message constantly. I didn't expect that, but it's truly wonderful. She says she needs a good friend right now, and honestly, she is a great person and has been a huge support to me despite what she has been going through. I told her I posted here, as I felt guilty because to tell my story, I had to tell hers. She was okay with it. She is thinking of waiving her right to anonymity when the trial comes, as she wants everyone to know she was SA'd and by whom. Danny has quit her job, moved to her parents full-time, and is in therapy. She's just about okay, surviving still rather than living, but she is so strong and amazing. Justice moves slowly here, so there isn't much of an update on the legal process. However, Marcus was told he would not face charges for assault for attacking the two people actively attacking Danny. I went back to work, and it was awful. I work for a tiny startup. Oscar, who works there, is friendly with Marcus and my brother. We are all into martial arts and attend the same dojo, so I'm getting a lot of pity. I'd have been okay with sympathy or empathy, but being pitied sucks. Still, it's better than being home all day doing nothing. Daniel gave me space as I asked, and he is truly a good guy. There is nothing romantic there at all, though. I'm not in a fit state for anything like that and won't be for a very, very long time. He's just a good guy, no ulterior motives. We text a bit, and he is in a lot of contact with Danny. I got a letter in the mail from Alex. He said he held out hope while I hadn't blocked him, but once I did, he was distraught. He told me he doesn't want to freak me out by turning up in person, and I know that wouldn't look good for him anyway, but he just wanted to tell his side of the story. He said he was pressured into doing stuff with the paid professionals and that he only got slop top. The other two were really pressuring him to do more, but he didn't and says he regrets even doing that. He admits he was angry at Danny because she told him he either had to tell me about the cheating or she would, but he knew he was totally in the wrong. He knew I would dump him for cheating, so he took everything he could get his hands on. He's not even sure what he took, and while he remembers pulling off Danny's shoes, he doesn't remember anything else. So he was just peer pressured, drunk, and high out of his mind, and did nothing wrong at all, basically. I was just disgusted to read this. His total lack of accountability is absolutely sickening. I'm not responding to him, ever. Any future mail goes unopened into the trash. I'm in therapy, but it's early days, and I'm not seeing progress yet. That leaves me with Marcus. He knows I've been angry with him, and he is desperate to talk it out. I probably feel too much anger towards him, but I find it hard not to. He is still feeling very guilty about making Danny stay. I don't understand why I feel so angry towards him. It's not on the level of anger I feel towards Alex by any means, but I'm still hesitant to talk to him. I think he made mistakes, but in my heart, I know he was dealing with a lot that morning. Still, I just wouldn't have been there when Alex got home if I had known the truth. I feel Marcus should have told me everything, as I was the one who had to face Alex alone. I know I should hear him out, but I'm finding it very hard. How can I get past this? I want to clear the air with him, even if we are never friends, and cutting him out is really having a terrible effect on him. I know he rescued Danny and has been constantly checking up on her. I know he can be a good guy, but part of me feels he wasn't all good that weekend. I don't know. I haven't touched on this in therapy yet, as we are just starting and focusing on Alex. I need advice on how to deal with this. I wanted to give it some time, but Marcus' mental health is pretty poor, and maybe by not meeting him, I'm just making him worse. How can I find it in me to just bite the bullet and hear him out? Why am I so angry with him? How can I move past this? I don't want to be angry with him. I'm so exhausted from being angry at him and Alex, and I wanted to stop, at least towards Marcus, but it won't. I'm visiting Danny for the weekend that should have been my wedding. We're going to have a Lord of the Rings marathon, and her mother is making a cheesecake. My own family has been wonderful in every way, but Danny is truly why I'm still standing. Edit. Forgot to say it wasn't an Airbnb. It was just a privately rented house. I just assumed incorrectly that it was. Fourth update 5 days later. I've only just broken up with him in the last 3 weeks. Alex, my ex, and I have had no contact since the morning after the attack. He's currently going through the legal process as a consequence of his actions. I gave my wedding dress and shoes to my best friend, Millie, to sell, donate, or just get rid of. She has lots of seller accounts on different platforms as she buys and resells collectibles a lot. She put my wedding dress, veil, shoes, and other accessories up for sale with the intention of me getting some money back. Canceling the wedding meant I lost a lot of money. Anyway, it all sold immediately at a really great price, and when Millie looked at the buyer's info, it was my ex's father's business account. We are assuming it's Alex, my ex, who bought them and not his father. Millie wanted to know what I wanted her to do. Does she pack up the stuff and send it to him, or do I want to confront him? I asked Millie if she could cancel the purchase, and she is checking that out, but even if that's possible, I wouldn't want it to damage her seller rating online. I am unsure why he would do this. I know he still wants us to get back together, but that is never happening. Should I just let the sale go through and ignore it? It feels weird and upsetting. I feel like he is still torturing me, and this is just a way of getting my attention, and I have had zero interaction with him. Any advice is welcome. Edit. Alex knows Millie's selling accounts. He even bought stuff from her in the past. He hasn't ever seen the wedding dress or any of my stuff. We are assuming he knows it's my wedding clothes on Millie's account. 5th update 3 weeks later. I wish this were a better update, but it's as close to closure as I can get, I think, or I hope. Danny has just crashed. All her bravado and fight are gone, and she is seriously struggling. She is with family and getting treatment, but she has cut everyone off, including me. And I get it. I'll respect whatever she wants. My therapist says it's probably for the best, as our journeys are not the same, and healing separately right now is not a bad thing. I hope we reconnect in the future. I will miss her a lot. I decided to speak to Marcus. It was emotional for both of us, but I got answers. That morning, after he told me and went on to speak to the other 2 wives, he fully intended to come back to me afterward. 2 things happened. Jeb's wife was logging into their cloud to see if she could get pictures or evidence in case Jeb tried deleting anything, and Marcus was helping her. They called the police, and when they arrived, Marcus got caught up in everything. He left to go home to shower quickly and then intended to come to my place. At his home, the police were waiting to question him about the assault on Jeb and the other guy. They had immediately made statements to the police but omitted their assault on Danny. So, Marcus gave a statement and was questioned further. By the time he left the police station, he knew Alex was back. Marcus had done some pretty significant damage to both those guys, and he's basically a martial arts expert. He even did boxing and MMA-style competitions in his teens. He didn't know if he would be charged or not at that point. He knew Alex was back because Daniel had told him, but at the time, he didn't think much of it. But he says he wasn't afraid of Alex hurting me, as I have been doing martial arts with my brother since we could barely stand. Our dad got us into it. Alex doesn't do anything like that, so Marcus knows I'd be able to defend myself. I had easily taken down a guy who tried to rob me last year. He admits he didn't really think about the emotional impact at that stage, but he was dealing with a lot, and he truly was. He didn't tell me any of this when we were texting in the early days and was genuinely trying to be there for me. I forgave him for that morning, as I was wrong. I didn't know then, but I do now. He also told me he's dealing with a lot of guilt over Danny, guilt for convincing her to stay, and some guilt toward me as well because, if Danny and Daniel had left, he hadn't intended to go with them. He was really into the girl he met the night before. He now realizes that staying while they left would have basically condoned Alex's behavior. He said he didn't intend that, but he really liked the girl. The girl didn't want any further contact with him after everything that happened, so I guess he got some kind of karma there? He did drop a bit of a bombshell on me. He says there are rumors that Alex is looking to get a deal where he would plead guilty to lesser charges and get probation. It seems like he might actually get that. It's early days, though, so it will probably be several months before anything is confirmed, if it's true. He also mentioned that there are lots of snippets of information about Alex floating around, and he thinks Daniel has never cut contact with him. In fact, he's pretty sure. He says there's no way some of this information could be known unless it came directly from Alex, and apparently, it's Daniel dropping these snippets. He told me he confronted Daniel, and although Daniel denied it, he knew from his reaction that he was lying. So, he believes Daniel is likely feeding information back to Alex as well, and he warned me to be cautious. He also told Danny's mother, and as a result, they have all cut contact with Daniel. So, I did too. Now, I feel like I don't know who to trust. So, my old university friend reached out to me, and we talked. She got me an interview with the company she used to work for, and I've been doing virtual interviews this week. I just heard that I got the job. I start in 2 weeks. It's in another European country, so I don't need visas or work permits. I'm going to crash on my friend's couch until I can find a place to live. So, I'm leaving at the end of next week. I have to. I feel like collateral damage here. I'm afraid I'll run into Alex, and it feels like people are avoiding me. I just want to grieve the relationship and the betrayal and need space to do that. I lost the future I had planned and the guy I loved. I miss looking forward to that, and I miss the guy I thought Alex was. All of this has been hard. I've got a dilemma. I didn't sell the wedding dress because it wasn't Alex who was buying it, it was his father. He reached out to me, saying he was trying to help me recoup some of the money I'd lost by buying it. He then offered to cover all my financial losses from the wedding. I won't lie, I would like the money to help me start my new life. I spoke to the police, and I'm not really needed for the investigation. I don't know much firsthand, as it's all been secondhand information, and what I do know seems to change with more of that info coming in. The statement I gave about Alex getting home that morning is all they need, and while they can't say for certain, they doubt I would need to give evidence. So, if I took the money, it wouldn't be seen as a bribe or hush money, and I'm in the clear legally from that perspective. But morally, is it right to take the money? It feels like dirty money, and I'm torn. The money would help a lot with getting a car and settling into my new country, but I'm not sure if I could bring myself to accept it. The second thing is, He asked me to have one last conversation with Alex on the phone, if need be. He says Alex is desperate to talk to me. The money isn't contingent on me speaking to Alex, so I can say no and still get the money. This is really hard for me because part of me wants to tell Alex how much he has destroyed me. I want to know why he did what he did and, most of all, what in the world went wrong in his brain to do what he did to Danny. But would it help? Would anything he says really make a difference? I don't think it would. I can't ever be with him again, I don't want contact with him, and nothing he could say will make things better. So why am I still tempted to talk to him? A phone call seems easier than meeting in person, which would be way too hard, but even so, I feel torn. Please, talk me out of this. Regardless of what happens, this is it for me. I'm hoping for a fresh start and to leave all this behind. I know I'll carry too much of it with me, but with some space, maybe I'll learn to breathe again, and the pain will eventually go away. The last 6 weeks have been hell. I just want to wake up from this nightmare. Wish me luck.